In this tutorial, we are going to look at the respiratory system and its structures, functions, and follow air as it passes through the system. So to start, we'll bring up a picture of the whole system. We'll start up here, just kind of labeling and going through in general terms. We're going to look at the top part, the upper respiratory tract, and then we'll look at the lower parts later. So the next slide, we're going to look at basically this area right up here. And this is just a 3D model from a software I have called the Body Atlas. So this part here is nasal cavities. And as air is drawn up through these are called the nares, the opening, the nostril. Air is drawn up through, and inside of this cavity there are lots and lots of hairs that kind of like a forest of hairs that trap particulate matter that comes in through the air. It also aims, there's lots of capillaries that run through here, so it aids in moistening and warming the air so that it's not, like imagine in the wintertime when you're breathing cold air, that it's not cold air that reaches your lungs and lowering your temperature. So it's just kind of a way to maintain homeostasis and to control the temperature. So nasal cavity here, bring in. There you can also breathe in through your mouth, obviously, and these two passages meet here at the back of the throat. So this area right here is called the pharynx. And the pharynx is just where the esophagus and the nasal passages meet. Food and air will use this passage to get in. Right here is what is called the larynx. And it houses your vocal cords. That's what you see here, these vocal cords. And so as air passes up or down, the trachea, so this is the trachea, and the trachea is otherwise known as a windpipe. That's just basically it has these thick cartilage rings to keep it open. You can imagine if you're creating a vacuum in your chest that these tubes would just collapse if they were like the esophagus right here. So up in the top part of the larynx up here, there's a little flap of tissue that covers over the larynx. It covers over the windpipe when you swallow. So when you swallow, that flap of tissue blocks it off so that food can make its way down the esophagus, which is right here. And you'll see in the next animation, the next picture rather, that you'll see the stomach and the lungs together. So the trachea and the esophagus are kind of parallel to each other. We'll head over to the next animation, and so again you get a little view here of the larynx is up here, and the esophagus runs down behind, and that's this tube, and this is your stomach, of course, down here. Now, we're concerned mostly with the respiratory system, so we labeled this already as a trachea, and the trachea is the main windpipe. It branches into two branches that feed. This over here is the left lung, and not shown, but you could kind of see the outline of sort of the right lung. Now, and this is just showing you a different thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. These main branches right here are called the bronchus, and two bronchi, so we get two of them, the main branches, and then they branch even smaller into these smaller things, little vessels or tubes of vessels. They don't carry fluid, but they do carry air. These are called the bronchioles. And this tissue, I mean, you see the kind of remove the lung tissue, and you'll see the bronchioles and the branching that happens here. So when you breathe in, you pull that diaphragm down, creates a vacuum, and air rushes in to take its place. It will go to the ends of all these bronchioles. And if you have bronchitis, this is where you're infected, right in here. Get a deep lung infection, it goes even deeper, but this is mainly bronchitis is where you're going to get these inflammation in this area. And here is the end of, let me just jump back here. So if you were to follow like one of these to the end, you would see this. These are called alveoli. And the alveoli, kind of small miniature grape-like clusters, empty sacs as the air comes in through it, and at the end of the tube it fills up these empty sacs. And you'll see here there's arteries, and there are veins on this side, of course. So these are capillaries that all kind of go around each of those little lobes. So this is where all your gas exchange takes place. You breathe in, you bring a lot of high concentration of oxygen on the inside, and your blood picks up that oxygen, becomes oxygenated, and then goes back to your heart. So basically that's it for the respiratory system. You can kind of take a look at your book, and if you have any questions, please come let me know.